Welcome to the Album Nerds Podcast with your hosts, Don and Dude.
Yeah, baby. It's Album Nerds Podcast.
Dude. Austin Powers, I get it.
I got Don with me. Don, you ready to talk about Austin, Texas, not Austin Powers?
Yes. Yeehaw. Although it's not really Yeehaw, Texas, I don't think.
No, it's more like, yeehaw, dude.
Right. It's hipster Texas, I think.
So this is the Album Nerds Podcast. We love albums and the album format. You know, putting all the songs together as one unit for our enjoyment. That's what we do here.
One very big unit.
Yeah. So we have a great show for you today. We are continuing on our Summer in the Cities series here on the podcast, where we are spinning a wheel and deciding what cities across the globe we're going to musically visit and listen to albums from artists that come from those cities. And of course, then Don will be asking us a deep question, and then we'll get into some other albums and album-related items we're digging, just for a few minutes. Then at the very end, we will spin the wheel of musical discovery to find out where we'll be going next and what city we'll be visiting. But this time, it's all about Austin TX.
On the road again. That's what I'm talking about.
From the humid air along the Colorado River to the buzzing glow of South Congress, Austin has grown from a laid-back college town into a restless capital of sound and subculture. Its stages have launched outlaw poets, psychedelic misfits, and razor-sharp indie rockers, all steeped in a city where dive bars, dance halls, and do-it-yourself venues sit side by side. Today, we're choosing two albums from artists who bottled the unruly, ever-evolving spirit of Austin, Texas.
Bottled like whiskey. So, Don, there's pretty good variety. I think there are more artists that pass through than seem to have established themselves in the music scene there.
That's right.
At least, on the big lists. So what were some other albums you considered but didn't go with ultimately?
This actually came up during the Primal Scream discussion in our last episode, but the 13th Floor Elevators, they had done a cover of one of their songs. Their album, The Psychedelic Sounds of the 13th Floor Elevators from 1966 is pretty interesting. Definitely as the name suggests, it's kind of psychedelic rock. Yeah, pretty cool record. Also thought about, we've done one of her albums before, but I thought about another one of hers, Lucinda Williams' World Without Tears. Which was pretty good, but I don't know. How about you?
So really nothing. I zeroed in on my artist right away. I knew what I wanted to do as soon as Austin came up. But I mean, some artists of note, Stevie Ray Vaughan and Double Trouble, like Texas Flood. I think we did talk about that on the show before. That is an incredible album. All of his stuff is great. And the blues space. And then, quirky artist Daniel Johnston, How You Are from 1983 would have been a good one to talk about. A man that suffered from some mental health issues, but his music, maybe because of that, like his perspective on the world was very different. So the music in turn is quite interesting.
Yeah, I think it influenced a lot of the 90s alt rockers.
Yeah, I think so too. All right, well, the picks are in. The tour buses are loaded. Let's head to Austin for our cha-cha-cha choices.
You choose me?
My pick from Austin, Texas, comes from Willie Nelson and his album Phases and Stages.
Phases and Stages. Sorry, he says that a lot on the album.
It was released in March 1974. Willie's not from Austin, Texas originally. He was actually born in Abbott, Texas in 1933. Became a big part of the Nashville writing establishment. But at some point, he ended up moving to Austin and being a big part of sort of launching, what has become the Austin music scene. In fact, I believe he appears on the first episode of that PBS show, Austin City Limits, which is still going strong.
I used to not want to watch it because I thought it was just country music, but then there'd be like blues and jazz and rock artists on there. So
yeah. So by March 1974, he had moved over to basically the country division of Atlantic Records with Jerry Wexler, and he was given some more creative freedom. He ended up recording this album at Muscle Shoals Studios in Alabama, and used that same Muscle Shoals rhythm section that appears in a lot of soul and R&B albums of the time. Phases and Stages is a concept album, basically depicting a divorce and the aftermath. But what's interesting about it is that each side is from a different perspective. So side A tells the story of the wife, and side B tells the story of the man.
That's where physical, like, vinyl record comes in for these experiences. Like on a tape or a CD or streaming, that break, that separation isn't as clear between the two characters in the story.
Yeah, I wish the streaming services would address that in some way and maybe put some little sound effect of turning the record over in between the sides of the album.
Right. Or like an intermission music or something.
All right, well, let's get right into it. So the opening song is called Phases and Stages Theme, and that's a recurring thing throughout the album. And then it goes into a song called Washing the Dishes.
Phases and stages, circles and cycles, and scenes that we've all seen before.
As I head for the door.
Let me tell you some more.
Damn it.
So that's the theme that comes back at multiple points throughout the album. So just kind of a device for sort of reminding you that he's telling you a story.
A little narration, I could picture it on a theater stage and the spotlight on the narrator over in the corner of the stage, just saying, here's what's going to happen. This lady is about to wash the dishes.
What I kind of like about it is that it's so overtly a story in a concept album. Like some of these progressive ones, you find out later, hey, this was a concept album that was tied loosely about this, whatever. This one is, just obvious.
And in general, in the 70s, there of course had been concept albums, but in the genre in particular, making it clear, this is a story, or it's just giving it that warm feeling. It's inviting to feel like you're getting told a story, even if it's about divorce.
Right. So the lyrics of this part, once we get into washing the dishes, this is the wife, talking about the everyday chores she does and how she used to find pleasure in it, and now is not so happy about it. Because she's
right,
unloved, whatever. But
right, yeah. Especially, at the time, the expectations, the traditional gender roles of the wife taking care of the household and the husband and all that stuff. And then when the emotional needs aren't being met, then that stuff is just empty.
Right. Yeah, and this even mentions washing shirts with lipstick on the collar. So there's, the implication that the husband is cheating or doing some bad things. But this one's a very mellow track, but it does feature that rhythm section of Muscle Shoals. You've got David Hood on bass and Roger Hawkins on drums. Very, very subtle. You almost don't know they're there. But it's effectively done.
Well, that's the idea. It's supposed to capture the monotony and isolation of a failing marriage where you're alone together, Mm-hmm. And I like how it starts off with the wife's perspective. Willie establishes empathy for the female character. And I think setting the tone there, there's that old phrase, happy wife, happy life. Mm-hmm. I like that we see it from her perspective first, where she's just left alone. Mm-hmm. all the time. And our fella turns out is whooping it up out there in the world, Yeah. So, it's a great opener. And even though it is painfully obvious, that's okay. Yeah, I like that.
Me too. Okay, well, here's another track still from side A in the female perspective. Sisters Coming Home Down at the Corner Beer Joint.
Mama don't like the man that done her wrong.
So that's a slash down at the corner beer joint, so it's not
Right, yes.
He's not saying
Right,
down at the corner beer joint. He's setting the scene.
Yep. So this one actually shifts perspectives a little bit. So my understanding is that the wife, I think, has to move in with her mother and sister, who I think might be younger. And I think this song is actually told from the sister's perspective. But she's watching the wife, I guess kind of going out and, trying to, find her way, and maybe, blow off some steam. This one's a little more, up tempo.
Yeah.
There's just an underlying sadness, throughout this record.
Yeah. I mean, this is her starting to slowly rebuild her life. It's the moment that she starts maybe moving forward again. And I think that it's the shift in energy mirrors the character's emotional recovery and reclaiming yourself after a breakup. I mean, we've all been there, figuring out who you are now. What did you learn from the experience? How can you apply that to another, Sure. I mean, if relationships go bad, it wasn't worth it unless it helps you establish a better one the next try. But, I like that she gets the healthier, more optimistic story arc.
Me too.
We'll get into that in a second.
Yeah.
She has nothing to be guilty about, right? Mm-hmm. She has no regrets to deal with after this situation. Yeah. Things went bad. She was unhappy. Move on. And then when we get into the gentleman of the story, he broke everything. And so he's got to face that.
Yeah. And, I was a little worried at the beginning of the album, with, Willie kind of, taking on the female perspective and acting like doing dishes is fun or something, or her dream. But they actually, as we go on, we find out that she's a fully well-rounded, fully developed character. And you're right. She does have the happier storyline.
Yeah.
All right. Well, was there a track you wanted to highlight?
Yeah, I think it's time we hear from the fella in this story. So why don't we jump into I Still Can't Believe You're Gone.
Believe it.
Duh.
Yeah.
I still can't believe that you'd leave me.
Oh, dude. So this is like the emotional low point of the album, right? He's forced to confront what life looks like without her in it. And, one of the songs before it, I think the first song of this side is Bloody Mary Morning, where, hungover, let's drink some more, kind of a thing. Unlike the drinking distraction of songs like Bloody Mary Morning, this song, it really has nowhere to hide. I mean, the guy is... we've seen this story a million times. We've heard this story a million times, but it's still, Willie presents it and delivers it in such a way that you're feeling it. And that's why this is a great album and a great concept album, because it's clearly not necessarily from his own experience, but by this point, him and his contemporaries were all 30s, 40s probably, and had been through this shit, so I think this really does feel real. The strings, instead of it being empty like some of her songs where there's less arrangement because she's alone, I feel like he's being haunted by his memories.
Yeah,
it's good.
It's great. I think I think the listener wants this to happen. So it's, there's some real payoff here that he's suffering. And I think Willie Nelson does a great job of, capturing that suffering and, making it real. So you do end up at some point, it's so sad that you do kind of feel for him, even though it's all his own fault. Yeah.
It feels like mourning, not the beginning of the day, but the one with the U in it. I guess that this was inspired by the death of Willie's longtime drummer, Paul English. His wife, Carlene, passed away, and that this was based on that. So I think that if that's true, I think that's where some of that sort of mourning the loss of someone that's gone from your life, whether it's forever or, through death or the do us part,
Yep. Okay, so we get to the end of the album, and so we get the phases and stages theme again, and then there's a track basically called "Pick Up the Tempo," and then it closes again with another piece of the phases and stages. But here's "Pick Up the Tempo."
So pick up tempo just a little and take it on home.
So I think he's still struggling here. I think he's regretting and he's restless, but I think there is sort of this idea that he has to move on at some point. And so I think that's why he's kind of telling the band to pick up the tempo, because I got to do something.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's nice. I think.
Yeah. It's not redemption. It's just acceptance. Mm-hmm. He's accepting his situation, and that's who he is. I don't know what that means for the next Mrs. Stages.
Right. I mean, I hope he learns something and, can maybe do it a little better next time.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's what it's a great ending. It's the right ending, I guess you could say. It's the natural ending. It's what one would expect in this situation, hope for to some degree. I mean, some might hope that he shows up at her door with flowers and wants to try again, but for her sake, I'm glad he didn't. So yeah, people change, relationships change, life keeps moving. Those are the phases and stages, and it's well established at the beginning and throughout. And maybe hearing him say phases and stages like in my head for the last week, it's an effective tool that he used throughout the album.
Yeah.
So. And he uses a similar set of tools for I think the next one after this, Redheaded Stranger, which is another concept, but it's about a cowboy and his wife, and like a cowboys and outlaws Western story.
Mm-hmm. I think he does a great job of capturing like the honky tonk, or like just being in one of these bars. The few tracks that seem to be kind of set in there. I feel like I'm there, which is amazing because he's not using a lot of instrumentation to make you feel it. He's the guy can tell a story. Both lyrically and musically.
Yeah.
Okay, let's rewind and reflect on Willie Nelson's Phases and Stages.
Say it right.
Phases and Stages.
Thank you.
I'll begin with my clickbait headline. Willie knows there are two sides to every sad story. I think this is cool. I'm sure it's been others have done it, but I don't recall a concept album where you're getting, two different perspectives about the same thing. And I think that's cool. And I think, even outlaw country can sort of have a chauvinistic vibe. And I love that Willie Nelson
has a softer side.
Yeah. And that he cares about the female perspective and was bold enough to, try to sing with her voice. I mean, maybe not everybody would appreciate, like, who are you to, speak for a woman, but I think it's admirable that he tries.
Yeah. I'll come in with my clickbait headline to describe the album. All my exes live in Texas, and apparently they've got their own side of the story wrapped in Muscle Shoals groove and outlaw honesty.
Uh-huh.
So the bits of where it's almost an R&B groove at times, with the outlaw country thing. Like, I don't know if you heard that, if you felt that.
I did.
But yeah. I felt some soulful stuff going on under the surface. Very effective. One of Willie's most cohesive albums. I mean, it has to be.
Yep.
But, it's a complete story. The concept never overshadows the music, and the groove from the Muscle Shoals, bands and, the musicians and treatment gives the record warmth and momentum. It keeps it moving forward. And it's thoughtful and intimate, and it's very human.
Yes. And
not overly dramatic. And that's why it works so well.
Absolutely. All right, killers and fillers. I mean, it's tough with an album like this, because it feels like they all
you need them all.
Yeah. But, some of the highlights, I think Pretend I Never Happened, which is on side A with the woman's perspective. Just this is basically her saying, I'm out. Pretend I never happened, which I think is a cool statement.
Forget me. Yeah.
Yeah.
One I mentioned, Bloody Mary Morning, that probably could have been a radio song.
Yeah.
That's kind of the trouble sometimes with concept albums, is picking out songs that could be singles.
Yep.
Upbeat groove disguises how lonely the song really is.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those drinking songs, but really beneath the surface, it's like, why you drinking?
Yeah. Yeah, as far as like fillers, again, I don't think there's fillers. I mean, I guess you could make a case that maybe we didn't have to come back to the phases and stages theme every time, but I mean, that's not atypical of a concept album. You often have themes that come back, so it's fine. But
I like it because I feel like it helps. There's two stories, side A and side B, but within them are chapters, and those phases and stages bits, I think, help define those chapters in their recovery or forward momentum.
Yeah, I agree. Anything else you want to say about Killer and Filler, or you want to throw out another track?
No, I mean, all the songs are when it comes down to it, great. And they have to be for this to work, and it does.
Do you think Heaven and Hell inspired Black Sabbath?
I hope so.
That would be cool. All right. Production. So we got Muscle Shoals studio. It's famous for its sound, but also that house rhythm section. There's a live in the room feel, but it feels relaxed and unhurried. I mean, Jerry Wexler, I think we did the Dusty Springfield album, that actually kind of sonically, had a lot in common with this, but I don't know. I mean, it sounds exactly like it should sound. If that makes any sense. Yeah.
I agree. It's warm and natural, good instrument separation. The arrangements always support the lyrics, and the pedal steel and piano and all that stuff, I think, add color. But not too much color, because you want it like a sepia tone throughout most of these songs,
There was a lot of country western in the 60s and 70s. It could kind of overdo the instrumentation at times. Like the strings would be so prominent and the pedal steel could be so prominent. They don't do that at all. Replay value.
Of course.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so listenable and pleasant. Even, if you dig into the story and you're listening to it, you can get the sadness, but just the sound of it while you're in a room doing work is nice. Willie's voice is just comforting.
Seems like a perfect one to own on vinyl.
I don't have this one. I've been looking for it. Yeah. I have Red-Headed Stranger, but...
All right, Legacy.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously one of Willie's defining albums, a creative breakthrough into a new period of his career, where he became like a big-time dude, not only making records, but starring in shows and movies, and he was everywhere. And helped, it established him as a major artistic voice in the emerging outlaw country movement, represents Austin's spirit of artistic independence. It's honest and unconventional and unconcerned with industry expectations. He wasn't looking for a hit here.
Right.
This was our artistic endeavor.
Yeah, and I think because I had considered Stardust, but that. Yeah. I mean, he's doing basically standards, and I don't know. I mean, there's great songs on that, and some of his most known songs are on that album. But yeah, I think this album maybe captures the spirit of Austin, like you suggested. Yeah. So Phases and Stages stands as a quiet landmark, proving country music could tell a full, messy breakup story with the same person singing on both sides of the argument. Check it out.
I'm just glad he didn't do Phases and Stages.
Oh, yeah. He could have done that.
Excuse me. I'd like to ask you a few questions.
It's time again for Deep Questions by Don. All right, so we've basically been asking the same question at each stop of our Summer in the Cities tour. What other pop culture representations of Austin are there?
I'm going to go way out there and not do music.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, it was tempting. There's a lot to talk about, but I'll leave that to you. Yoga with Adrian.
Nice. I was not, you told me about her. I was not aware of her.
Yeah. So Adrian Mishler has built one of the world's most popular yoga communities, and she's from Austin. It's a free YouTube yoga class thing. It's a global phenomenon. I mean, there's millions and millions of views on all of her videos. But she's relaxed and approachable, and her style kind of reflects, I think, Austin's creative, welcoming spirit, and helped a lot of people discover yoga, and without ever having to go to a yoga classes. You do it at home, but you feel like you're part of something. It's really nice, and she does talk about being from Austin, and sometimes her accent will slip out and stuff. So it's just a pleasant way to start your day for me as an older gentleman that needs to be more limber to get through life. So, yeah, but she's from Austin, and that's the first thing I thought about.
Right. Well, I figured I'd go, back to the music direction. Maybe one of the first things I think of with Austin is South by Southwest, or often, spelled out SXSW, the abbreviation. But that's the music festival that is there every year. It started in 1987, mostly featuring local bands. But I mean, since then it's just exploded, and they've, gone on to add film and, other things. It's just I've never been there, but I know it's just a huge multi-element, festival. It didn't occur to me at the time, but the title is a reference to Alfred Hitchcock's North by Northwest movie. And I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I've never gone to it either, but it is it's a place where up and coming bands, if they can get booked during that week, it's an opportunity to get noticed, get signed, because so many heavy hitters are there. Yeah.
All right. Well, what other pop culture representations of Austin are there? Let us know on our social media, like Instagram and Facebook at Album Nerds.
So I'm going with a bluesy choice. Blues rock, neo-soul, R&B, hard rock, all mixed together with Gary Clark Jr. and his debut major label studio album, Blak and Blue. Gary Clark Jr. emerged from the Austin blues scene as he was a celebrated guitarist, right? Even as a teenager, he was known as a phenomenon around the area. Raised in Austin, came up through the club scene. He first gained national attention through a high-profile appearance alongside artists like Eric Clapton and collaborations across rock, soul, and R&B circles. But by the early 2010s, he was kind of being positioned as a savior of blues guitar, but he always pushed back on that. He didn't want that label. He wanted to blend blues with his other favorites, rock and soul and hip-hop and funk and all that. So his album Blak and Blue, released October 2012, produced by Clark himself and Mike Elizondo, Rob Cavallo, and Tim Kelly. The album defied expectations of a standard blues record by delivering wide-ranging, genre-challenging sound. Why don't we jump in with the opening track, Ain't Messin' Around. Many years of being hyped as a blues savior. Everyone wants you to be something before you are something. But this is what makes Blak and Blue unique. It's not just guitar heroics, but we get into some, we got the full horns and organ and fuzz guitar and all that stuff. What did you think? I think you were not familiar with Gary.
I was not.
I think your perspective on this is probably more important than mine. What did this intro to him mean for you?
It kind of explodes at you. There's just a certain swagger to so many of the songs, and in fact, like the first 3 or 4 tracks are really kind of in your face, punchy. Yeah, it's at first, I didn't even. The guitar is not that prominent, like it was, it comes a little later in the song, but, it's just hitting you with the, these big horns and organ and, I don't know. Yeah. It's a really nice introduction to him. And yeah, his vocal delivery is, relaxed but assertive, I guess.
Yeah.
No complaints at all about this track. It's good.
Yeah. And it's him announcing himself. It's confident, and the hook says, "I don't believe in competition. Ain't nobody else like me around." I like the confidence going into it, and it does lean into that Stax and Motown influence, which
probably some Jay-Z influence,
probably. But it's him saying that blues can live inside modern music, not just 12-bar blues tradition. All right, why don't we keep moving with a favorite track of mine. I had the Bright Lights EP before this album came out, and this is that song, Bright Lights. Deceptively simple arrangement where we're transitioning between the verses and the guitar solos, and those blues moments come in, but this is some dirty R&B right here.
Yeah, it's I believe it's only one chord throughout the song, but there's some slight variations on it, but it's just like perfect, to do stuff on top of, that groove is really impressive. I think I've said before, sometimes I get bored with blues. The same 12-bar blues thing, over and over. And I do like, as you already suggested, that there's, you can do more than just that. The blues are at the heart of it, but you can do things that are more interesting.
Yes. Yeah. It's such a wide palette. And as we move into his other albums, and especially if you listen to his live albums like Gary Clark Jr. Live, amazing. I mean, to hear these songs breathing a little more, and other songs, and I think in the live experience too, I feel like he does more blues, because here I think he tried to tease us, give us the straight blues here and there, but play in this playground of all these different sounds he wanted to explore. Dot.
Yes.
Being a first timer, which one stuck out to you? Which song?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of standouts on the album, but I figure we should talk about the song "You Saved Me." So, "You Saved Me" is pretty different from most of the rest of the album. It's maybe the closest thing to a real ballad on there. It's maybe the souliest moment. Is that a word? So you just got a smooth groove built around warm electric guitar. I mean, his guitar is still doing interesting things on this track.
Yeah, it reminded me of like Stevie Ray Vaughan, where the singing and the guitaring are happening like he's like duetting with himself.
Yeah. Which is impressive. So, I think the lyrics I think the saved is sort of, I mean, it's religious, but it's not, I don't think he's talking about
it's open-ended. Yeah.
Right, but he's using it in the same way.
Yeah, I mean, it could be a romantic partner or faith, like you said, or music. But I guess Clark described the era as being so overwhelmed by touring pressure and the sudden visibility that this song reflected a need for grounding, especially stepping away from the guitar record expectations, and a surprise. I was even listening to, every time I listen to it, I'm always like, "Whoa, change a feeling here."
Yeah, and that's a good 6 minutes too. I think this one,
and an enjoyable 6, not a come on next song. Speaking of next song, why don't we make our way to the final track on the album? This one's called "Next Door Neighbor Blues." Oh, here they come. So for those looking for a straight blues record, it comes at the end. But he does deliver, and it sounds just as good as any of his forefathers, I think, in this space.
Absolutely.
Super lean, classic blues territory. The song revolving around jealousy and suspicion and tension, and going back to the earliest blues recordings. What were your thoughts on this one? Is this what you were expecting from the beginning?
Maybe. But yeah, and this actually comes as a surprise at the end, because it's the only one that's real kind of like that front porch
stripped down. Yeah.
But again, he can do this. I mean, he shows maybe like 6 versions of himself on this album. And he does them all, quite well.
Well, the bright lights in Big City went to his head, it feels like a club set closer, like if he was playing in a club and the lights go down and he does this, then walks off the stage. Yeah. That would be cool. All right. Why don't we take a little time to rewind and reflect on Black and Blue? I'll kick this off with my clickbait headline. The bright lights called, the blues came along, and Austin got a new sound. Black and Blue it's an ambitious album, and it refuses to stay in its lane, which is great. This reveals like his broad artistic vision. He's continued to play with these things, gotten a little more hip hop beat influenced on some future albums, bluesier and others. But unlike Phases and Stages, which gains strength from the tight concept, Black and Blue kind of thrives on the variety, on the surprises around every corner. That's what makes it fun. And all of his records have these elements, but this is probably the most like, hey, look at what I can do. That's what it feels like.
Yeah, it makes sense, for your first album to do it that way. I'll give you my clickbait headline. Texas guitar hero delivers bright lights and big riffs.
The bright lights.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
That must have stuck.
He is a guitar hero for sure, and he definitely establishes that. But there's much more to this album.
Yeah, it's like he takes his guitar and puts it on his back. It's like, yes, I could blow you away with my guitar playing, but instead I'm going to blow you away with my vocal delivery, and it's great.
Yeah, he really does have a nice voice that I think works effectively, for 5 different genres too.
Exactly. All right, what about the killer to filler ratio? Lots of killer, little filler. What are your thoughts?
Well, I wanted to mention maybe some of the more overtly poppy tracks. There's a song called The Life.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess it's more R&B, but it's got maybe even, it kind of has a hip-hop vibe to it.
Yes, absolutely.
And maybe had I not heard the rest of the album, if I just heard the song in isolation, I wouldn't have necessarily been that impressed with it. But I think within the context of the whole album, it makes sense.
Yeah, the programmed beats and things, and this does feel like the early preview of some of the genre blending he continues to explore later. I really like Numb, a little heavier, massive fuzz guitar, a little more aggressive with hard rock energy, going beyond the blues stuff. But lyrically, it explores like emotional exhaustion, disconnection, and kind of the weight of the arrangement amplifies the feelings, and I think that works really well. And also is another like, hey, whatever, I do what I want.
Whatever, I'll do what I want.
Yeah. There's another kind of soul ballad in there, Please Come Home. I think that's one that he may have won the Grammy for like best R&B performance or something on that one. That one feels like a little more like a traditional soul
Texas
ballad.
blues.
Yeah. It's I like that one a lot as well. I mean, there's no real duds.
And then with a nod to other guitar heroes, blues guitarists, blues rock guitarists, the cover, the combo, Third Stone from the Sun, and If You Love Me Like You Say, Jimi Hendrix and Albert Collins. And it's a very revealing track because it pairs Hendrix's psychedelic instrumentation with Albert Collins' blues classic. And Gary kind of lays out his musical DNA. The performance is like crazy.
Yes.
The guitar performance. There's some hip hop beat, like scratch stuff going on in there. Like it is insane and beautiful. I love it. What'd you think about the Third Stone from the Sun?
Yeah. I think it's a great version of the song. Or actually, so both, but
songs.
Both songs. So paying tribute to what they are, but making them his own.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know about filler. Anything?
I mean, like you said, The Life, and then even like Travis County and Please Come Home kind of remove themselves from some of the vibe, but that's part of what he's doing here is playing in all the playgrounds. So I don't really think so either.
Yeah. I mean, there's no filler, but it is a long album. I wish it could have been a few songs shorter, but I don't have specific songs I would want to eliminate.
Production. What were your thoughts on the production of this record? I mean, we have quite a few people involved, so.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it sounded very live, a lot of it. At least the band dynamic. It's obviously produced, but the energy is there of a live performance. But you were saying that like the live records are even better. So I wonder if there's something they could have done better in producing this, to capture more of that.
I mean, it's warm and powerful and has some modern heavy guitar, strong low end sounds. But I think the key is when the blues moments come, they handle it properly. Replayability for you.
Yes. Like I said, it's a little long, but I mean, it's a pleasure, throughout. And I mean, he's just such a talent, that you're just captivated.
Yeah. I mean, my advice would be more like replayability as listening to his music in general. So if someone hasn't heard of him and starts off with this album, explore the live album, listen to some of the newer records. They just had one come out, I think in 24, but explore. I think exploring his catalog is probably more gratifying than just focusing on one. So if you're feeling like hearing Black and Blue, go, you know what? I'll listen to the live record or whatever. That's my advice. Good. Legacy.
Well, I mean, wasn't this around the time? Wasn't there suddenly sort of like a blues rock and retro thing happening around the 2010, 2012?
Yeah, I would even throw like the Black Keys into that thing.
Alabama Shakes.
Alabama Shakes, for me, the Rival Sons. Oh, yeah. So I was really looking for that style. And that's how I think I stumbled on Gary Clark Jr. back at that time. But yeah, I think the legacy is the blues lives, but it can live side by side with a lot of other genres.
Yeah, I mean, everything he does is derivative, but it still sounds kind of original, similar to the Black Keys, I think.
Okay, so Black and Blue is a bold Austin statement that takes Texas blues, soul, rock, and modern swagger, blends them into something uniquely Gary Clark Jr., and announces the arrival of an artist far bigger than a guitar hero. Check it out.
Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
All right. Well, on the way back from the party at the Moon Tower, I think Dave's confused. That's another pop culture thing that takes place in Austin, Texas. So did you have a chance to dig anything else? What are you digging?
Thanks for asking twice. A new artist, Violet Grohl.
Oh, that name sounds familiar.
Not to me. With a debut album called Be Sweet to Me. Singer-songwriter Violet Grohl has kind of forged a musical identity rooted in 80s and 90s alt-rock and has been compared to artists like PJ Harvey, The Breeders, Cocteau Twins, and it does have a vintage alt-rock character to it. So, as I said, Be Sweet to Me is her debut album, produced by Justin Raisin, I think, or Raisin, at his Los Angeles studio. And why don't we jump in? Listen to a little bit of the opening track. It's called Thumb. So I think it's a promising new voice in modern alternative rock, like that blues rock revival of the 2010s. I think we're headed to a alt rock revival, and this kid could be part of that. But yes, her dad is Dave Grohl, but he had nothing to do with the album. Supposedly, she went and signed a record deal all on her own, and
he just supplied the genes.
And I'm sure the name didn't hurt, but it's a good record. All right, and I'm always trying to feature some album I'm digging or listening to that comes from my album collection. And I just picked this one up. This is my second copy of it. The first one was unplayable because I got it in a dollar bin. So I picked this one up at my local record store a couple weeks ago. It's an old favorite, something that kind of scared me when I was a kid, but now it's not so scary. Quiet Riot and their 1983 debut, Metal Health. Well, it's their breakthrough album. I don't know if maybe they'd released some stuff before that.
It was so huge too. I mean, it wasn't just big for them; it was big for everybody, and really put
big
metal
for
on
pop metal.
Yeah.
So this reached number 1 on the Billboard 200. The album did. So why don't we listen to a little bit of the opening track for this one? Metal Health, Bang Your Head. They didn't hold on too well, but this sound certainly did. And the cover has like a guy with a metal mask. And,
it was iconic.
Yeah, I remember my cousin had the cassette, and I was probably, I don't know, elementary school age, and I was like, what is this?
This is after Randy Rhoads left the band, right?
Yes. What about you, Don? What you digging on?
Well, supergroups don't just exist in the rock realm. They also exist in electronic music. So there's a new one called Doublespeak, which features Vince Clarke, who's...
Never heard of him?
Yes, you have. He was from Erasure, Yazoo, and, kind of the founding guy of Depeche Mode. He left after the first album, but, pretty big name in synth pop. Also, Neil Arthur from Blancmange.
Never heard.
I only, kind of heard of them recently. And then producer, synth specialist Benge, Benge. He's kind of a UK electronic producer. But anyway, a lot of analog synths, not a lot of digital stuff going on.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And here's a cover of Fad Gadget, Back to Nature.
Next time, Gadget. Next time.
That's good.
Back to nature, burning bodies.
I love the point of the song you picked.
Yeah, it's a fun album, to check out, and I think I'd like to hear maybe them attempt some originals next time. Okay, and then Peter Frampton Well, he came alive back in the day. We actually did discuss his famous live album "Frampton Comes Alive," but he's back. He's had some health issues, but after 16 years,
wow, really? It's been that
he's finally got some original rock material to put out. He co-wrote and co-produced this album with his son Julian Frampton, and it also features some guests, who are probably dying to work with Mr. Frampton. Sheryl Crow, Tom Morello, Graham Nash. But anyway, here's the duet with Miss Sheryl Crow, "Breaking the Mold."
I can't wait for the day.
As long as it's not the day that he goes into the light.
Right.
Facing the light is fine. Yes. Don't go into the light, Peter. We're not ready yet.
Right. In this album, he's carrying the light.
Exactly.
Yes. Very good. So what are you digging? Let us know. Join us on the socials, Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky at Album Nerds.
It will be a discovery of extraordinary value.
Well, it's about time on the show when I'm reminded of the words of Dave Grohl, father of Violet, of Foo Fighter and Nirvana fame. And he said, "There's so much energy in Austin, it's kind of the kernel of where all this music came from." With that in mind, let's bring out the wheel of musical discovery to see where we're going. What city will we be summering in next?
Next up on our Summer in the Cities series, we head to Toronto, Canada. From groundbreaking rock and jazz to global pop and hip-hop, we're exploring albums that showcase the diversity, creativity, and musical legacy of one of North America's great music cities.
Not ideal on the weather situation up north in Toronto, but not too bad.
It gets pretty warm there.
Yeah, probably a little cooler than some might hope. That should be fun. It's cool to be hitting cities outside of the U.S.
Yes. All right. Well, what's your favorite record from Toronto? To what else are you listening? Email us at podcast@albumnerds.com or follow us on Instagram and all our other social media at Album Nerds. And you can visit albumnerds.com to listen to all 340 episodes. I dare you. And the best way to support the show is to share it. Please subscribe, rate, and review on your favorite podcast app.
Thank you as always for joining us here on the podcast. We'll catch you next time up in Toronto, Canada.
On the road again. Album Nerds are on the road again.
That's it?
No. The life we love is talking records with my friends. And we can't wait to get on the road again.
That's probably the most sensical one of those you've done so far, so I appreciate that.
Vocally, I didn't have to stretch quite as much as I usually do.
Yeah, you didn't hurt my ears or make anyone's dogs bark, so congratulations.